Hello. Today we're gonna read and at the same time talk about we fucking about what we read, and the book which I choose for today is The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. In advance, I say sorry for my some words pronouncing. I'm not a native speaker, but I look like Joe Biden. Ha ha ha. Okay, as I said before, the book for today is The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts, and today our mission is save the planet. No, today of course we will not read the whole book. I just will choose some interesting chapter and just try to we will read and try to understand exactly that lines. Okay, here we go. I just was reading the description of this book, and it looks like another version of Nassim Taleb's book, if you know, Anti-Fragile, which is great. I really recommend you. Okay, let's go. Okay, we here. I just opened a PDF version and on my laptop. It's not physical book. Okay, it's the first pages, contents. Okay, let's see to the contents. What kind of chapters we have? Preface, The Age of Anxiety, Pain and Time, The Great Stream, The Wisdom of the Body, On Being Aware, The Marvelous Moment, The Transformation of Life, Creative Morality, Religion Reviewed. What else? That's it. Yeah. Usually, books have important, gold information, useful information in the middle, I guess. So let's try to choose some chapter of this. The Wisdom of the Body, On Being Aware, The Marvelous Moment, Transformation of Life. Okay. I'm not saying that it's right to read like this, Of course, it's going to be correct to start to read from beginning, but my point is just try to understand some random pages, I think it's also makes sense for get some useful information and use in your own life. Okay. Let's start from Pain and Time, page 29. Okay, page 29. Page 29. You're listening to Commercial Break, page 29. On the radio today, page 29. Here we go. Okay, I'm starting to read chapter 2, Pain and Time. At times, almost all of us envy the animals. They suffer and die, but they do not seem to make a problem of it. Actually, sorry for my. I'm gonna make these kind of comments, my thoughts of some lines, for not make it boring, for make it this kind of interaction with book, let's say. Actually, I was thinking about this, that uh, people, uh, like animals, don't have this kind of problem, like people, anxiety or stuff like that. They just finding some food and happy with that. But I guess it's just because of they don't have such brain like us. Okay, continue reading. Their lives seem to have so few complications. They eat when they are hungry and sleep when they are tired, and instinct rather than anxiety seems to govern their few preparations for the future. As far as we can judge, every animal is so busy with what he's doing, and the moment that it never enters his head to ask whether life has a meaning or a future. For the animal, happiness consists in enjoying life in the immediate present, not in the assurance that there is a whole future of joys ahead of him. Yeah, like rock and roll, yeah. But it's kind of makes sense philosophy, enjoying your present moment. Okay. This is not just because the animal is a relatively insensitive clod. Often enough, his eyesight, his sense of hearing, and smell are far more acute than ours, and one can hardly doubt that he enjoys his food and sleep immensely. I just saw a few days ago that videos about chimpanzees and the way how they look at the people, like they have very smart eyes, and they of course look like us, and it's pretty crazy to see this kind of stuff. Like it looks like an animal, but he looks into your eyes like a human being. It's very unusual senses. Okay. Often enough, his eyesight, his sense of hearing and smell are far more acute than ours, and one can hardly doubt that he enjoys his food and sleep immensely. I don't know. Despite his acute senses, he has, however, a somewhat insensitive brain. It is more specialized than ours, for which reason he is a creature of habit. He is unable to reason and make abstractions, and has extremely limited powers of memory and predictions. Okay, I want to see the human being without any gun in front of that, I don't know, let's say tiger. Yeah, there we go, human being, show your unlimited brain power in front of fucking wild tiger who can beat your ass in 1 second. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just fucking around. Of course, their brain different, their brain primitive, but it's all depend on the context. You never know who's gonna kick your ass. Unquestionably, the sensitive human brain adds immeasurably to the richness of life. Yet for this we pay dearly, because the increase in overall sensitivity makes us peculiarly vulnerable. One can be less vulnerable by becoming less sensitive. more of a stone and less of a man, and so less capable of enjoyment. Sensitivity requires a high degree of softness and fragility. Eyeballs, eardrums, taste buds, and nerve ends, culminating in the highly delicate organism of the brain. These are not only soft and fragile, but also perishable. What the heck is this? There seems to be no effective way of decreasing the delicacy and perishability of living tissue without also decreasing its vitality and sensitivity. Blah blah blah. Okay, if we are to have intense pleasures, we must also be liable to intense pains, to pleasure we love and the pain we hate. But it seems impossible to have the former without the latter. Indeed, it looks as if the two must in some way alternate for continuous pleasure is a stimulus that must either pall or be increased, and the increase will either harden the sense buds with its friction or turn into pain. A consistent diet of rich food either destroys the appetite or makes one sick. To the degree then that life is found good, death must be proportionately evil. The more we're able to love another person and to enjoy his company, the greater must be our grief at his death or in separation. The further the power of consciousness ventures out into experience, the more is the price we must pay for its knowledge. It's understandable that we should sometimes ask whether life has not gone too far in this direction, whether the game is worth the candle. Oh, this is nice idiom. The game is worth the candle. And whether it might not be better to turn the course of evolution in the only other possible direction, backwards to the relative peace of the animal, the vegetable, and the mineral. Something of this kind is often attempted. There is one woman who, having suffered some deep emotional injury in love or marriage, vows never to let another man play on her feelings, assuming the role of the hard and bitter spinster. Almost more common is the sensitive boy who learns in school to encrust himself for life in the shell of the tough guy attitude. As an adult, he plays in self-defense the role of a Philistine, to whom all intellectual and emotional culture is womanish and sissy. Carried to its final extreme, the logical end of this type of the reaction to life is suicide. The hard-bitten kind of person is always, as it were, a partial suicide. Some of himself is already dead. If then we're to be fully human and fully alive and aware, it seems that we must be willing to suffer for our pleasures. Without such willingness, there can be no growth in the intensity of consciousness. Yet, generally speaking, we're not willing, and it may be thought strange to suppose that we can be. For nature in us so rebels against pain that the very notion of willingness to put up with it beyond a certain point may appear impossible and meaningless. Under these circumstances, the life that we live is a contradiction and a conflict, because consciousness must involve both pleasure and pain. To strive for pleasure to exclusion of pain is to the exclusion of pain is in effect to strive for the loss of consciousness, because such a loss is in principle the same as death. This means that the more we struggle for life as pleasure, the more we're actually killing what we love. Interesting. Because such a loss is in principle the same as death, this means that the more we struggle for life as pleasure, the more we're actually killing what we love. Indeed, this is a common attitude of man to so much that he loves, for the greater part of human activity is designed to make permanent those experiences and joys which are only lovable because they're changing. Music is a delight because of its rhythm and flow. Yet the moment you arrest the flow and prolong a note or chord beyond its time, the rhythm is destroyed, because life is likewise a flowing process. Change and death are its necessary parts. Change and death are its necessary parts. It is true. To work for their exclusion is to work against life. To work for their exclusion is to work against life. However, the simple experiencing of alternating pain and pleasure is by no means the heart of the human problem. The reason that we want life to mean something, that we seek God or eternal life, is not merely that we're trying to get away from an immediate experience of pain. Nor is it for any such reason that we assume attitudes and roles as habits of perpetual self-defense. Yeah, I think I'm gonna make some small conclusion of this part. I think this all religion necessary for most people, because it has some psychology impact to our brain, to the way of our thinking, that it's giving to us a hope. It's giving to us belief to it's helping to us be optimistic, and I think there is nothing problem with that. Okay, let's continue reading. The real problem doesn't come from any momentary sensitivity to pain, but from our marvelous powers of memory and foresight, in short, from our consciousness of time. For the animal to be, it is enough that this moment be enjoyable, but man is hardly satisfied with this at all. He is much more concerned to have enjoyable memories and expectations, especially the latter. With these assured, he can put up with an extremely miserable present. Without this assurance, he can be extremely miserable in the midst of immediate physical pleasure. Yeah, we see the main difference of animal and people thinking, but actually some people also thinking at that primitive way. Animals, as I said before, as I read before, they just enjoying the present time, and they don't give a fuck about the tomorrow, about the past, about the memories. When tiger eating bull, he doesn't stopping for a while and not thinking that last year his brother was biting his leg. I don't know. That kind of stupid stuff. No, animals don't care about this shit, but people, they care about past, about future, about present. That's why it's more complicated. Okay, let's continue. He's a person who knows that in 2 weeks' time he has to undergo a surgical operation. In the meantime, he's feeling no physical pain. He has plenty to eat. He's surrounded by friends and human affection. He is doing work that is normally of great interest to him, but his power to enjoy these things is taken away by constant dread. Yeah, this is a good example, when you're waiting something, especially this kind of operation or stuff like that, even though you at the present, I don't know, eating some tasty food, you couldn't 100% enjoy that, because in your mind you already under that doctor's during that doctor's operation, you already feeling that pain without feeling that literally, physically, that is interesting stuff about human being. Yeah, let's continue. He's doing work that is normal of great interest to him, but his power to enjoy these things is taken away by constant dread. He's insensitive to the immediate realities around him. His mind is preoccupied with something that is not here. Yeah, let me put my some coins, some thoughts about this. That's why I think meditation is so fucking important for people, for human beings. It's not about being animal. No, it's about focusing on the present, on what's going on now. Focus on your breathing, on your thinking. Do that 10, 5, 20 minutes. It's better 20 minutes per day, and you're gonna see the difference. I really recommend you do that for make your mind focused on at the present. Don't be distracted by some, that kind of anxiety or some distraction thoughts. You wouldn't feel better. Yeah. I think for today it's enough, and I really like it, this book, and thank you for listening. Maybe we're gonna continue reading this book. I stopped at page 28. So thank you for listening.